Welcome to If Mama Only Knew podcast, where we explore topics related to mental health, well being, and personal growth. Please note that while I, Anna, am a licensed therapist, the information and advice shared on this podcast are for educational and informational purposes only. The content provided here is not intended to replace or substitute for professional mental health services with a licensed professional. Thank you for listening and remember to take care of yourself.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of If Mama Only Knew podcast. This is Tatiana, one of your hosts.
Hi, this is Hannah, your other host. Welcome back.
Yes, we are back for another episode. I just feel like up and ready to go with today's episode because I'm excited. But yeah, let's start with our check-in as always. Mom, I don't know if you want to go first or if I should go first.
So let's see, how am I feeling today? Today I am feeling there are so many emotions here. If you guys are watching, I am looking through the wheel of emotions. I'm trying to pick the emotion that best describes how I'm feeling today. I am feeling confident.
Okay.
I'm doing really well with my October challenge. I am crushing the goal. I'm averaging about 16,000 steps a day, which is really good. I think last time I had said 10,000 steps was 5 miles, but it's actually not. It's about 4. And so I think I'm walking about 6 miles a day, which is really great. I also started hot yoga. Tatiana joined me on my first day back. So that was great. So I feel really confident. I feel really good, both physically and emotionally. What about you, Tatiana? How are you feeling?
Well, let me see the pillow. I think I feel maybe joyful. I don't know. Just happy, fine overall. I don't know. I wouldn't say happy, but maybe just joyful in a silly mood.
Any reason in particular?
No, I just probably because I had a sweet treat before this. But no, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I had a really fun weekend. I went to Halloween Horror Nights, so that was really fun. Went with my boyfriend, my cousin, and her boyfriend. So a little double date moment.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really fun.
How were the lines?
We actually were bougie this year and we got the
Ooh,
express.
okay.
I didn't pay. But yeah, we got the express this year. If you're planning to go, I would say the express is worth it. Like the years prior that we have gone, we have not gone this express just because like we're like, oh, whatever. Like, but no, like it goes from waiting like an hour to 2 hours in line from literally, I think the longest we waited was like 5 minutes.
Oh wow, that's
so
really fast.
It was so worth it. Like if you can get the express, like it's totally worth it. So that was really fun. We went through, did like every maze. It was pretty spooky. I won't spoil any mazes in case people are going, but yeah, it was really spooky. There's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think that one was like the scariest for me because it was just like that movie's scary just to begin with.
It is.
And
because it's actually a real story. I didn't know this.
Exactly.
Guys.
So to think about that, I'm like, hell no. And this year they incorporated like smells. So the mazes like smelled like shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like the mazes literally like it smelled like rotting body.
Like
I don't know what that smells like, but it smelled like pig. Like ugh, it was so disgusting. But yeah, that was really fun.
I'm excited. I'm actually going on Wednesday. We're recording on Monday, and I'm going on a Wednesday. So,
but it was really fun. I give it a 10 out of 10, maybe like an 8 out of 10. But I was just tired by the end because we were there like the whole time till they closed. Like we left like, was it like 1 a.m., 1:30? They closed at 2 a.m. But yeah, I was like I was done by the end, and then we couldn't find the car. So I was like,
Oh,
oh my
no.
gosh. But it was overall really good. So good weekend. Got a little break from reality. Went out to LA. Like, so it was fun. But yeah. How was your weekend? Anything fun?
My weekend was great. I did a little more reading. I'm almost done with the series I talked about last week. I also had my book club meeting. So I'm part of a book club with a bunch of other really cool women. Like, most of us are mothers, not all of them. And we have a monthly meeting, a book club meeting, and we just get together. We choose a book and we read it, and then we get together. We go out usually for wine, for dinner, and we have really great, interesting discussions about the book. Most of us read the book, but in case we don't read them, we still, participate. And it's really just a safe space, fun space for women to gather together and just talk about life. Whether you're a mother or not, just the challenges of, just being a woman and navigating life and work and personal life and just everything. So I always look forward to this monthly book club meeting because it just gets me out of my bubble. I tend to keep to myself a lot. I go to work, I come home, I spend time with Tatiana. I don't really do much outside of home.
Same.
My social battery kind of runs out very quickly. So the days that I do go out, I really enjoy it. So this month we met at a restaurant and we had really great brunch and some drinks. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Period. So that was basically our weekends. Again, I think we both had like a different experience this weekend. I feel like it was finally like something that we did, not just like, oh, work, blah blah blah. So yeah, that was really fun. So yeah, this week we're gonna be talking about a little spooky stuff.
Spooky stories.
Yeah, do you want to start?
Yeah, I want to start, but before we get started, let's go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll get started with our spooky tales. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a break.
Okay, so we are back. Mom, do you want to go ahead and get started to kind of explain what we're going to be getting into today?
Yes, we're going to be getting into spooky stories. We were just having a conversation about just, October, and given that Tatiana just went to Halloween Horror Nights, and she said her favorite maze was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I didn't know. Maybe everyone knows this. Maybe this is common knowledge, but I didn't know that this was a real story. I guess this was based on a true story. And so then we started having a conversation about like urban legends and spooky tales. And in honor of Halloween that's coming up, we wanted to have an episode on just like discussing scary stories that both of us heard growing up. And so I picked the top three. I feel like I have to start with the classic, La Llorona. So growing up, hearing about La Llorona was, something that I feel like a lot of Mexican in particular, but maybe all Latinos can relate to. Growing up, if I didn't listen to my mom, if I was like out and about doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing as a child, she would threaten me with La Llorona, right?
No.
So I feel like the story of La Llorona is like that childhood story that like if you're Latino, you know the story of La Llorona, right? Because not only is it a scary, a spooky tale, it's something that parents use to sort of low-key keep you in check, right? It's sort of like the boogeyman, right? Of like Latino culture. So the story goes, and again, there are many variations of the story. So if you're listening to this and you're like, girl, that's not how that story goes. Well, this is how it was told to me. Okay. So keep in mind, this is how my mom told it to me. So It goes back like way, way back in the day. There was this.
I'm scared.
There was this beautiful woman by the name of Maria, and she lived in a small, tiny village. And according to this legend, she was like a beautiful, beautiful woman that had, a lot of guys behind her trying to date her, trying to court her. And of course, she wasn't giving anyone the time of day. But then this mystery man came out of nowhere and he moved into this small village and he expressed interest in her. And finally, she decided to give him a chance. And he was very handsome. The only problem is that no one knew where he came from. No one knew his family. No one knew where he was from. And he was very mysterious. Fast forward, they end up getting engaged and they're soon to be married. This woman ends up getting pregnant and before, the wedding, and she ends up having twin boys. She was supposed to marry her fiance, but then she found out soon after she had her boys that he was actually married in the next town over. So he had already a wife and he had children of his own. So, of course, Maria was extremely heartbroken and felt super betrayed. And she figured the best way to, get back at him would be to drown her children. Keep in mind, these were her children as well. So she was so heartbroken and decided to take her twin boys to the river nearby and decided to drown them. So she ended up drowning them. And then after she realized what she had done, and she was full of regret, and she decided to also end her life. However, the legend goes that because she committed the ultimate sin, which was to kill her children, she never got to cross over, and she ended up staying in this like in between world, like in limbo, right? So now the legend says that her punishment for killing her children is to, kind of just walk around any body of water, whether it's a river, a lake, just any body of water, crying for her children, right? So the way that my mom would tell it to me is she is this woman that, comes around and takes all kids that are disobedient and basically are bad kids, right? And so I remember growing up, my mom would always say if I didn't behave, La Llorona was going to come and get me. And as a small child, of course, you're so afraid of this and you don't even know what it looks like. So the way that she was described to me was a woman who, was dressed in white, had long black hair. So, anything having to do with being a woman with dark, long hair, dressed in white was always how La Llorona was painted. So I remember like one time in particular, my mom was telling me this story because that was like our thing. We would, stay up all night and my mom would tell us scary stories. Now looking back, I'm like, why would she do that? Like right before bedtime. So I remember, we were getting ready to go to bed and it was after she had told us the story of La Llorona. And I remember our neighbor came over and she was wearing PJs and it was like a white pajama, like kind of like dress, and she had long black hair. And I remember she came over to knock on her door and I answered the door and I started screaming because I thought it was La Llorona. And I remember I was so scared and my mom was like mad at me because I like embarrassed her in front of this lady. So it's like, don't scare your kids, right? Because they're gonna then be afraid of everything and anyone. So my mom swears also that when she was younger, she heard La Llorona. So I guess the story she told me is that she was up at night. And again, it was like she wanted to stay up and her grandma told her, go to bed, or else La Llorona is going to come get you. And I guess if you hear La Llorona and it sounds nearby, it means like she's further away. But if she sounds far away, she's really close to you. I know that's really scary and confusing. So my mom said that, like, one night she woke up at like 3 a.m. And you know how they say 3 a.m. is like demon
and I
hour.
always wake up at that time.
Or demon time. So she
Not
said
demon
that she woke up at 3 a.m. and that she heard like someone crying. And I'm like, Mom, are you sure it wasn't like someone in the house that was crying? She said it was a woman and she was crying. And she swears that it was La Llorona because she opened the window and peeked through the window. And she said it was someone. It was like a shadow. And all she saw was like the long black hair and like the white dress.
And isn't it too that like if you hear like dogs barking
or
something, like she's around or she's coming or something
so
like
she
that.
said that too, that she heard the dogs barking. And so now every time I wake up, because across the way there's like a dog and it's always barking.
We live across a fucking like
it's
river,
like
and then there's
creek.
houses on the other side, and there's these dogs that bark all day, all night,
hours of the night,
like, and it's like so annoying.
And so now I have this story in my head. I mean, I'm in my 40s now, and this story was told to me when I was little, when I was like 6 or 7. And I still remember every time I wake up around 3, because that is the time I wake up every night to drink water, go to the bathroom, whatever. Like, and I hear a dog barking, and it's around 3 a.m. I get the chills.
You run to the bathroom.
Get so scared because I think my brain is conditioned to remember this story. I don't know if it's my brain really just, this story's so familiar to me and it's like embedded in my mind, or I don't know if it's really something in the environment. Like, I don't know, like, because I'm telling you, I get the chills even right now talking about it. Like, I'm getting the chills. So I don't know. Do you think there's something to the story, or do you think it's just our minds that play trick on us?
I think, I don't know. Like, I'm the type of person.
Do you believe in the supernatural?
Yes and no, but like, I'm not trying to say no, because then like they're gonna be like, we'll show you. But I'm the type of person that like, I need proof. Not that I want it. Please don't give me proof things. But
what do you mean?
Like, I'm saying like, I need proof to like
you want to see
real. It. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
But
what would be proof?
Fucking hearing La Llorona or something.
Yeah.
Like, but I think I do believe in like supernatural and like spirits and like that type of stuff. Yeah. But I've never really like gotten into it or like looked into it. I try to not think about that stuff. Yeah. But I think so. Yeah. I think there's stuff lingering because I feel like I've heard stuff.
I'm conflicted because I think part of me like does believe it. Like you say, there has to be something else. Like, it can't just be us and in the universe, right? Like, I think anything is possible. But I also think like a lot of these things are like taboo subjects that I don't know that it's so much like supernatural as it is like mental illness that's like untreated. And where I'm going with this is like, we actually, for a book club, we actually read this book. It's The Haunting of Alejandra. It's a really good book that actually talks about like the spirit world and like supernatural stuff combined with like postpartum depression. Oftentimes when women experience postpartum depression, there's an element of sort of like psychosis that happens. And sometimes people can experience psychosis. They see things or they hear things that are not there. And I think that there's like a break in reality that happens. Depression, anxiety, all these things untreated can lead to that. And so I think a lot of times women postpartum can be suffering from a lot that can lead to severe depression. And I'm like, was La Llorona just depressed? But was it just this woman who had postpartum depression? Based on like the legend and the story, how it was this young woman who had twins by her fiance, and then she later found out that he was actually lying and he had already a family. It was a huge betrayal to her. So that can really send someone over the edge and can send someone into a mental health crisis. And we've heard so many stories, and we continue to hear stories of women who are suicidal or homicidal, right? And they end up hurting their children because they're severely depressed. And it's possible, right? And so I think like back then, like who would know? Who would be able to diagnose this person, this young girl, Maria, right? Who knows? That, it's just a different way to look at it. But I definitely think that there's something to it. I don't want to see, like Tatiana says, I want proof. I'm like, I'd rather just take their word for it. Like, I'm okay with not having proof. I don't want to see La Llorona.
Me neither.
But yeah, it's one of those stories that I think will always, I will always remember this story because it's such a common story that you're told when you're Latino and you're growing up. Yeah. I don't know that Grandma ever told you the story of La Llorona. I think she knew not to scare you. But I want to hear what is a story that you remember growing up. Something that really scared you.
One of mine that I like kind of, I forgot when, during like my younger like years when it came up and it was like really like popping off, because it was created like still when I was like young, like probably like 4 or something. But mine is probably gonna be Slender Man.
Oh gosh,
that one was like Slender a scary one that I remember. So I'll like just go with like the background of it and then like why it scared me kind of type of thing. I'm just gonna read it off of like kind of like the origin of like kind of how it
where Slender Man came from.
Yeah. So Slender Man is a fictional character that originated from an internet meme in 2009. The character was first introduced on the Something Awful forums as a part of a Photoshop contest where users were tasked with creating paranormal images. The creator Eric K, I'm just gonna say that, posted images of a tall, faceless figure in a suit, often depicted lurking in the background of photos with children. His post included eerie captions that hinted at the figure's sinister nature, suggesting that he was associated with the disappearance of children. So that's basically like how it came about on like an internet forum. Just this tall character, very skinny, like skinny legend type of thing. And then he was in a black suit, no face, type of thing. So I forget when, I think it was probably when I was in like elementary, it started like going around again, and people were just talking about it, like, oh my gosh, Slender Man, like he's this thing. I think like people would like dress up for like Halloween and stuff, and I'd be like, no, like that's creepy. Just something about it always creeped me out.
The image itself is super creepy.
Yeah,
we'll attach the image.
Maybe we'll put it here. Yeah. Slender jump scare if you guys are watching.
Yeah.
But I know that there was like a real life like event that happened
because of Slender Man.
Yes. So obviously it started off as like this fictional thing. Then I think it got out of hand where people started, taking advantage of like young kids and on the internet and being like, this person is real, like, and it kind of got out of hand. So people were kind of like starting like a cult kind of form thing, like to worship this character. And obviously we have people who have said they've seen Slender Man, all this different stuff. But from what I know, it's obviously a fictional character. Again, I do not want proof, please no. But basically there was a situation that happened. So the character gained notoriety again in 2014 when two 12-year-old girls in Wisconsin attacked a classmate when they were having a sleepover, claiming they
were possessed by Slender Man?
Claiming they did so to like get Slender Man's attention. This incident brought significant media attention to Slender Man and raised discussions about the impact of internet culture and young minds, all that stuff. But basically, it was this case that happened, like you said, 2015 or 16. Yeah, 2014, sorry, when these two girls kind of like scouted out and picked out one of their classmates to have a sleepover with them. So they had a sleepover. I think they woke up the next day. Everything was fine. These girls had been plotting against her.
That's so scary.
They went out on it's Wisconsin. So they lived where there was like, I think, woods around. They went on a walk. They ended up kind of like attacking this girl from behind.
Oh my goodness.
And they stabbed her. And she was basically like, I think, a sacrifice. I think it was something about like Slenderman, like they said you had to sacrifice someone to like be accepted by him or something around those lines, or to like save yourself so Slenderman wouldn't get them. But yeah, they basically stabbed her. I think it was like 20 something times. But thankfully she survived. She survived the attack. I'm not sure how they found her, what had happened, but she survived. She's still alive to like tell her story. I think she's done interviews. You guys can like look it up like to see like the actual like very details, but I know there's interviews I've seen like on YouTube, like the case and stuff. But yeah, these girls got caught. Obviously, they I think were trying to plead like insanity or something so they wouldn't get charged, but I think they were deemed like competent or whatever. So I think they were sentenced or they were put in like mental health institutions. I'm not sure, but yeah.
So. Again, we see this theme of like oftentimes the supernatural is attached to like mental illness. Yeah. And I think it's such a slippery slope because obviously I'm a therapist. I believe in mental illness. It is real, especially the disorders that cause hallucinations, psychosis, etc. I want to be careful and say like, okay, like it's not real. Like, I mean, I don't know these people, but I think a lot of times those two things, the supernatural, mental illness are combined and it gets murky.
Very like messy when it comes to those things. Because a lot of people, you never know, some people obviously a lot of the times try to take advantage of like pleading insanity and like, but there's different ways to see if they are.
Some people feel like people can get possessed, right? And again, depending on what your beliefs are, you may not believe that and you may attribute these behaviors to mental illness. But some people do believe in the supernatural, so they may think, people getting possessed is a real thing. Yeah. And so we want to hear what you guys think. Yeah. So,
but that was one that I remember that like scared me a lot because I was like,
what was scary about that to you?
I think definitely like hearing when that case like resurfaced, I was like, whoa, like that's like a lot. And just knowing it's like surrounding this fictional character and I'm like, okay, like I'm starting to get a little scared. And just the fact of like it being surrounded by like this character gets kids when you're a kid. He kidnaps kids, he kills kids, whatever he does. Like, so that was very scary to be hearing. But yeah, that always really scared
And
me.
like I said, even the image alone without the context and without the background of how it originated, the image alone is so scary. I remember like being an adult and working with children, and I remember having a lot of the children I work with talk about Slender Man. I remember a lot of the behavioral issues that children were presenting with were because of Slender Man. And a lot of parents were even using Slender Man, like my mom would use La Llorona to instill fear and ask for obedience of their children, right? They would say Slender Man is going to get you if you don't follow the rules, if you don't go to bed. And of course, that would just cause nightmares and fear. So yeah, I do remember you talking about Slender Man. And I think it was all over like YouTube, right?
Yeah, it was all over YouTube. There's people making like videos and And YouTube was like popping off, and like when I was like elementary, little bit of junior high, but elementary was like the thing. So yeah, it was scary. So that was my thing that really scared me.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mom, do you have another one?
I do have another one.
Okay.
Do you want to take a quick break?
Yeah, we can. Let's go ahead and we're gonna take a break. I need a little bit of water, and then we'll come back and do the next story. So yeah. All right, back from my break. I was a little bit parched, right? Or is that when you're?
No, yeah, you were thirsty.
Okay, I was thirsty, but we're gonna do a story now. Yours?
Yes.
Okay.
So the next one is La Carreta de la Muerte, and it basically translates. A carreta is like a carriage, and muerte is death. So like the carriage of the death. So the legend goes is that there is a mysterious carriage that is being pulled by black horses, and it is said to appear the evening before a loved one passes away. And so the legend goes that at late at night, if you hear a carreta, a carriage being pulled by black horses in particular, that just comes out of nowhere, and you don't get to see the face of the driver. Keep in mind, you just hear the horses in the carriage go. That is like foretelling a death that's soon to happen, and it's usually a loved one. And so you have all these stories of people recalling living in neighborhoods where like horses and carriages are not
supposed to be a
a thing. There's not supposed to be a horse. There's not supposed to be a carriage. And then everyone has similar stories where they're just gather around in their home, and then they hear the horses galloping, and then they hear the carriage being pulled, and when they go outside they hear the horses, but they don't really completely see the full carriage and horses. They either see part of the horse is like the legs, or they see the back of the horse, or they see the carriage, but they don't see the driver. And again, that's supposedly telling you that a loved one is going to pass. So a lot of people that lose loved ones, they recall hearing the horses or the carriage, and that's supposed to be the death that's driving the carriage, and that's supposed to be telling you or picking up the soul of the person that's going to die. Which I think growing up, what I do remember hearing is my mom would say that when someone passes away, a close family member, that they often come back and retrace their steps. And so that you often hear like steps or noises in your home because it's that person's soul retracing their steps, like the steps that they, throughout their life. So they go around all the places that they lived in, that they visited. I remember when my grandmother passed away, I was at home with, I think, my siblings, and my mom was in the hospital, and my grandma was already passed. I think she had already passed away. We had a dog, and it was in the backyard, and I remember the dog started crying and barking. And we thought it was weird, and then we heard like strange noises in the backyard. And later on, fast forward, when my mom told us around the time my grandma passed away, my mom was sure that was my grandma, tracing back her footsteps and saying goodbye to us. So I don't know. Do you think that's a thing?
I mean, yeah, I think there's, like we said, like there's so many things that could be possible. I think so, but I think it's just like it's hard to like really know for sure without either not seeing, but like, actually experiencing it, because I wasn't there, I didn't hear. But I think it is true. There's a lot of signs. I believe in signs. I believe in things like that.
Of people that have passed on. Also, people say that when someone really close to them passes, they see them in their dreams. So they believe that it's not just a dream. They believe it's that person visiting them and saying goodbye. What are some other things that people say? They also feel like they're being sent a sign through like birds or Like for me, I had a really close bond with my grandmother. Well, it was my great grandmother. It was my mom's grandmother who raised her. So to me, that's like my grandma. I had a really, really tight bond with her. She passed away when I was 4, I think. And I remember she loved birds. And she had a lot of birds and plants at her house. And in particular, she had a blue, like, I think it's like a blue, I can't remember the name of the bird, but it's a blue bird.
Yeah, like the little, like, birds, right? Like the ones grandma used to have.
Yeah. And I remember that was like her bird, and she loved that bird. And after she passed away, the bird passed away as well. And now, anytime I'm going through something and I feel down or I don't feel like myself, every time I see a blue bird, I just always take it as a sign that that's her, like sending me a sign and showing up for me. So I believe in signs.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing. But as far as like being able to predict or being told that someone's going to pass, I don't know that I want to believe in that. I don't know that I believe in that. That is a really scary thought. If you, right?
Yeah.
To be able to like tell if someone's going to pass or not.
Because then too, I'm like, fuck, every time I'm going to be like either having dreams or something. I'm like, no.
Exactly.
But, yeah, that's scary.
I remember like a few months back, and I forgot, I don't know if I told you guys this. Now that I'm telling the story, I'm remembering a few months back. Like we said, we live by a creek. And there's like a bike path, and there's a lot of people that walk by. They walk, they ride their bikes. I remember I heard horses on the path, on the bike path. And
I've
remember,
heard horses,
right?
I think, like a handful of times. It's weird because we live in like...
We live in an area that within walking distance, there is a place that has like a farm and has like horses.
There's
So
like, we have mountains and the ocean. So it's like, there's a lot of like ranches. There's a lot of like country people. So a lot of people have horses. So like sometimes they'll just decide to like randomly ride them on the street, and it's very rare.
It's rare, but it happens, right?
Yeah.
But I thought about that and made the connection. I'm like, I don't want to hear, and it wouldn't be uncommon for us to hear those horses again. But now that I'm like telling this story and putting two and two together, we're probably going to hear a horse at night, and we're going to be freaked out.
Yeah, I've never heard it at night, only in the day. And I'll be like, what is that? But and then I'll look out the window and I'll see like someone riding their horse on like a path. But yeah, that's creepy.
I know it's something you don't like to talk about because you always get sad when I bring up this topic. But like, if I passed away before you, like, would you be open to hearing, like, or like receiving signs from me? Because I think that's a thing too. Like, if you're closed off to that, you won't see the signs. But if you're open to it,
I would say like, I'm sorry, but I would should I even say that?
What?
No, I'm going to say.
Say it.
No, because I say, like, not that we talk about this, because I don't like talking about this.
She doesn't like talking about this.
It gets brought up. I'm always like, no, like, if you, God forbid, if you do, like, I'm sorry, but I'm, like, gonna go with you.
No, don't say that.
No.
So this actually reminds me
about it.
This idea of dying from a heartache and from a broken heart.
It's true.
I heard it's a thing. Who was it? I think it was...
When the
what was her name?
Shooting happened. Well, this is the one that I've heard. I think when the school shooting happened in Uvalde, I think a teacher got killed, and her husband was like grieving, and I think he died of like a broken heart, like a heartache. Yeah,
that's so sad. I was thinking of Anna Nicole Smith, and I had to look her up. I think like she passed away. I can't remember if her child passed away first or she passed away after. It was one, or I can't remember who passed away first, but I think they were so close. I think it was her son who passed away, and I think she was so heartbroken. And she had a small daughter too, but she was so heartbroken that she passed away right after her son. And I think her small daughter was left to be taken care of by by the little girl's dad. And I think she's like a full adult now, but yeah, Anna Nicole Smith died, I think people say of a heartache because she couldn't stand living without her son. And I guess I believe it's a thing.
I believe that. It's just it's really hard. And okay, let's not talk about this.
But I mean, death is one of those things, like, we're all gonna experience
it's something
it.
you can't like avoid, but you can not talk about it in the moment. Okay. Okay,
what about
that
you?
Was that. More on like a little lighter note, I want to know.
Girl, this is spooky story time.
No, it's not a lighter note because it's still spooky. It's still spooky for me. Hold on, let me put my Fenty. Hold on. If you guys haven't tried the freaking Fenty Skin Lip Oil, it's so good.
Tatiana is so uncomfortable talking about death that she's like talking about Fenty right now. It's like,
okay, girl. I'm sorry. Anyway, we are going to talk about the crazy phenomenon, the crazy era back in, let me get the dates right, the late 2010s, so like 2016, 2017. Do you guys freaking remember the scary killer clown craze?
Oh gosh.
So like, I think this is what I found on Reddit, but I think it was, I guess it came to be when the Warner Brothers started to promote the 2017 version of It by Stephen King. So Pennywise Clown, I think that was getting like a lot of traction. So people, of course, like they do, they're crazy and they take advantage of it. And there started to be sightings across the world, everywhere. Literally every day you saw a new video coming out. And like watching from California, watching from your city, you were just like, it's getting closer. Like there's been sightings here, there's been sightings there.
But was the clown actually killing people, or was it just sightings of a clown?
I think there was like people dressing up in clown outfits and like carrying weapons. Okay. And like, I don't know, but I think there might have been instances where like people got genuinely hurt or chased, threatened. Like, I'm not sure, you guys. We have to like fact check that one.
Where it came from.
But I don't know if like people actually got killed. I think there might have been some instances where people did. But yeah, there was these sightings all over the United States, all over the world, where people would see these clowns, people dressed up as clowns, carrying weapons. Kind of just lurking around at night. Maybe you're driving and it's a dark road. You see just a clown standing in the middle of the road. That's like the videos that I think first resurfaced. So do you guys remember that? I remember in our town, like, we were just waiting for the first sighting. I think the first sighting was like by a subway or something. And this subway was like not too far from my junior high, because I was in junior high at this time. And I just remember like
a subway, the
restaurant,
the sandwich. Oh, I thought you meant like an actual subway. I was like, girl, we don't have no subways here.
Yeah, Subway, like a sandwich place. They were seen by that, but I don't know if you remember, I was scared to leave the house.
You were very scared. I remember this.
Like, I was genuinely like scared. Like, this was not a joke for me. I was scared. I did not want to leave the house at night. I did not want to leave the house in the day. Like,
keep in mind, this was not during like Halloween or anything where like a person dressed in a clown suit would be normal. This is just random, like, I don't even know when it started, but I remember that it was a thing. We were getting letters from the school district, emails, notifications about sightings and kids missing school.
They were taking it like
everyone was really scared. I remember this.
I think there was a school that there's like, I think 3 or 4 like junior highs in our town, and like the closest one to us was, I think it's like probably like 10 minutes away from us.
Was placed on lockdown
because they cited a one of the clowns. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, like, I was so scared. I did not want to go to school. Like, this shit had me, this clown was living in my mind rent free.
Yeah, no,
like,
it was
so scary. So let me know if you guys remember that shit. I remember I was not taking,
I think it was chances. When the movie, it was going to be released, the remake, it was going to be released, that it triggered a lot of people dressing up in clown suits. And then I think there was a murder that did happen. And then after that, of course, you have copycats, people that just randomly dress up in clown suits, and they, have weapons. And so then that created this like craze and this fear around the clown, the killer clown. I do remember Tatiana being so afraid. She didn't want to go to school. She didn't want to do anything. Not just her, a lot of kids, most kids, right? I do remember that.
It was scary. I was not playing those games. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if there's killer clowns, like, I don't care. Like,
I remember people were not going to movie theaters. They were not going out in public. And I remember even when the movie actually, came out, I remember, like, we didn't even go to the theaters to watch it. I remember we were like, there's no way we're gonna go.
Yeah, and I think when, like, Halloween came around too, like, trick-or-treating was a little bit scary that year, because obviously it was still, like, around. So I don't know if I went trick-or-treating.
I don't think we went that year.
But I was really scared. Like, I was not playing no games.
I don't even think that year people were dressing up as clowns, because it was such a hot topic that people were, like, not trying to make it worse by dressing up in clown suits.
I think that year too, like, I think sometimes Halloween lands on, like, a school day, and I think school was already like, no one's allowed to dress up as a clown this year. Like, we're not playing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys remember that, literally comment down, let us know your stories, your town, if you guys had sightings. But that shit was scary. I remember that as like a core memory. Whenever I, like, it comes around, like, in my mind, I'm like, that was a crazy era. Yeah. Like, the world is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, who like was doing that shit?
Yeah. That's really scary. And you always have people, wanting to prank others. And I can't stand pranksters. I can't. It's, which reminds me, like, we had just moved into the place we live in currently. And I remember.
No, it was the old apartment.
No, I think it was this one. My husband decided to prank us, and he hid a speaker in the closet, I think. And he had, like, what was it? A Llorona mask or something.
No, I think what I remember is, like, it was our old apartment. And I remember that you could connect to the TV.
Or the Bluetooth. You can connect, yes.
To the TV. So randomly, like, from, like, outside or from, like, far. So
no, it was a speaker that he bought. It was a tiny speaker he bought, but it was like Bluetooth speaker, and you can connect. You can sync your phone to the speaker. He hid the speaker in the closet of my bedroom, or the hallway closet. He hid the speaker in the hallway closet, and then he connected it to YouTube, and he played a scary video of La Llorona crying, because like, that's the whole thing behind La Llorona, right? That she goes around weeping, crying, saying, "Ay, mis hijos," right? My children. And I remember he played the audio really, really loud, and I remember Tatiana and I jumped and started screaming, because we literally thought there was someone in the house.
Yeah,
it was so close and so loud that it was like the scariest shit ever. I remember I was mad at him for weeks. I wouldn't speak to him, and he thought it was so funny, and it was meant to be a joke, a prank. But of course, we got so scared that we ran out the door. And I remember, like, I was trying to save myself, and I left Tatiana inside, and then it registered, like, get Tatiana. So I, like, pulled her by the sweater, and, like, I dragged her outside, and we were both screaming. Ugh. It was like, now I can say it was funny, but it was, like, awful at the same time, because we thought it was real. So don't fucking prank us anymore if you're listening.
I
don't like to be scared. I
when
don't.
Pranks were like popping off though in like 2010s, stuff like that. So that was like the thing to do.
Yeah.
I remember like one time he had put like a snake in my lunchbox.
Like a rubber snake.
Yeah, not a real snake.
He is a prankster.
A freaking snake. We would like play around with this stupid fake snake.
Yeah.
And he put it in my lunch pail and I like open it and I get fucking scared. And now I have a fucking snake. I don't know if I threw it away or kept it in my lunchbox, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that.
I think I have one
clowns
more.
Were crazy. That was such a crazy era. I don't even want to like know what's next to come.
I know. I feel like now the world is so scary that like pranks like that are not scary anymore. You know what I do think, because I have been going to Universal Studios Horror Nights for like the past, since like I think 2010. So it's been several years now that we've gone, almost every year. And I remember I used to hate being scared. I used to hate watching scary movies. I was one of those people that couldn't like watch scary movies. Because do you guys remember the movie The Ring? I don't know if you ever watched it.
I don't think I ever watched the original.
I think this came out when I think I was in high school. Yeah, I can't remember.
I think I just watched like the like, scary movie.
Yeah.
Like
the one that makes fun of
the comedy But I don't think I've seen the original, and I don't think I want to.
The Ring, this movie traumatized me. I remember I used to love scary movies growing up. Then I went to the movies to watch that. And I think it was the scene where the girl is found in the closet and she's dead. I was traumatized by it. And I remember after that, like, I nearly had a panic attack in the movie theater. And I had to, like, walk out of the movie. And after that, I was traumatized. I couldn't watch any scary movies because it wasn't happening. And then when I started going to Halloween Horror Nights, obviously that shifted, because I think the first couple of years, low-key, I would go into the mazes and close my eyes, which is a waste of money. Why are you even going? But then slowly but surely I started getting used to it, and I started enjoying getting scared and getting spooked.
You're like,
again.
This shit is fake. Let me do this.
But one of the things, especially the tram, like the little like tram that takes you and then they drop you off.
It's like the Hollywood, like if you've been to Universal Studios, there's like the Hollywood tour. So they take you on like the little bus tram and they show you the tour. So it's basically like the scary take on that. And they basically like whatever theme it is that year, they'll like whatever scare the person who's driving. They'll like tell you the spooky story, the background, and then they'll basically drop you off in the middle of nowhere. You have to like make your way through the maze. So, yeah. So
you walk and there's clowns. There's whatever attraction is happening that year. It's like the theme, right? The theme changes. So they have, I don't know, they've had clowns. They have dolls. They have like a bunch of things. And they have chainsaws. But of course they're like,
I heard they're real chainsaws, but they just take out the blade.
They take out the blade,
which is like,
I have always had this thought. Maybe I shouldn't even like voice it because I'm going on Wednesday. But I always thought of like, who knows? Like, what if there's like some maniac out there that decides to pull like something crazy, right? And they decide to hurt people.
There's, I think, a movie on that too, where like it's like this crazy, like it's this maze thing, and there's actually like
a killer on the loose, and they're killing people, and then people think it's part of the show, so they don't stop it. So that's kind of low-key have always been my fear. That's really scary to think about.
Okay, let's not think about that.
Let's not think about that. So, okay, the last story is, or urban legend is, the killer in the backseat. Again, this story kind of is a story that I think it's eerie, and I was told this story by one of my teachers growing up.
A teacher.
Yeah, and the story goes that like there's this young girl, and again there's like different variations of the story, but there's this girl that, she's like a young girl and she's in college, I think, and she's like driving. She gets in her car and she's often distracted. So her dad always tells her, like, check the back seat, check your car, make sure no one's in your car when you get on the car. Of course, she doesn't listen. She's always distracted with the radio, doing, whatever. So she gets in her car, she starts driving, and then she notices that a big semi truck is behind her and is following her and flashing their high beam lights on her. And so she gets scared and she, slows down, switches lanes, and the truck is still following her, honking, flashing the lights on her. And so she exits and gets off the highway and she's like, okay, this guy is a weirdo. Why is he following me and honking? So sure enough, the semi exits too and follows her. So she kind of drives around this neighborhood. She does a U-turn. She gets back on the highway, hoping that this person, is not going to follow anymore. Sure enough, they continue to follow her. And she starts to get scared. And so I think she calls her dad and starts crying and says, Dad, there's this guy that's following me. Please come out. Like, meet me, in the front of the house because I'm really scared. So this guy continues to follow her, is flashing the lights and honking. She pulls into her driveway. She runs in the house and the dad goes up to the front to meet the guy, and the guy gets out of the car, and then the dad is confronting the man that was driving. It's like, why are you following my daughter? Like, what's your business with her? So he says, Sir, I was just trying to help her out. There was a man in the back seat, and every time, I would honk and flash my lights is because he was like raising the knife and he was attempting to stab her. And so the dad runs to the car, to the back seat to check, and there's no one there. But the guy swears that there was a man in the back seat. So they say this is like a true story, that it was a ghost. Some people say that when the girl got off the highway, the guy slowly got out of the car, but she was like blasting her music, so she didn't hear him get out of the car.
It's giving like, the Twilight Zone, like one of the episodes from that. I think it's like the hitchhiker one. And a school teacher showed us that too. So it's like, what's with the school teachers? But I think it was like one of my English teachers.
What is the
that
story?
Showed us like the Twilight Zone. And I didn't even know about like the Twilight Zone before that. And it gives me very eerie. Like, I don't like it. It's very like, what's the word? It's like psychologically like
a psychological thriller.
Yeah, like the Twilight Zone. Just like, what is it, like a show? It's like a show. It has different, like, same characters, but different, like, storyline every time.
I never got into that show. I think it was, like...
Yeah, it's, like, an old thing.
It is an old thing. I think it's, like, a generational thing. I think it was maybe, like, older than me growing up. I don't know if it was cultural. I grew up watching all, like, Spanish TV and programming. So, like, I don't really know. But I think I understand what the show was about.
Yeah, and... Yeah, basically, I had never heard of it. I mean, I've heard, like, Twilight Zone, but I didn't really know what it was. And one of our teachers showed us, like, an episode, and it was basically, like, the hitchhiker one. And it was basically this guy. I don't remember. I really don't even remember the story. I'm low-key gonna look it up. But I think the main thing was, like, it was just this guy, and he was trying to look for a ride, and I think, like, no one would stop for him, or... people would or something like that, and I think that it was just that like no one was seeing him because he was dead or something. Or, I don't know.
That's scary.
1 second.
I feel like I've heard too one where it's like a truck driver or truck driver stories. There's a podcast and they had truck drivers. I think they had several different episodes and they invited truck drivers and they would tell like spooky stories or weird stories, and a lot of them retold the same kind of story, but obviously they didn't know each other, and they all kind of have had like ghost sightings where they see a woman. It's usually a woman, an attractive young woman on the side of the road, and she's hitchhiking, and so they pull over to give her a ride, and then they take her like a few miles, and then they're about to drop her off, and then she disappears. So it's like always like kind of like the same story.
I think.
Did you find it?
Yes. So the hitchhiker episode, It's a young woman driving cross country becomes frantic when she keeps passing the same man on the side of the road. No matter how fast she drives, the man always ends up ahead, hitching her for a ride.
That sounds like a bad trip.
Yeah. So Nan Adams is driving across country from Manhattan to Los Angeles. Apart from a blown tire, the trip has been more or less eventful. This is until she begins to see the same man over and over again. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of
That is so scary. Imagine driving on the highway and then you're just passing the same person over and over again. Yeah. What would you do?
No, honestly. But I think the main thing was like something about I think she might like get in an accident or something like that. Like he's warning her about an accident, I think, that she's gonna get in or something. I don't know. I feel like this is like no help. Like I said last time, I hate when you Google something and it doesn't freaking tell you.
Maybe you guys can tell us. Do you guys know that story?
Maybe tell us.
Leave it in the comments.
Definitely a culture thing. I think it's more of like, I might be wrong, but maybe more of like a white thing.
Maybe.
Like the Twilight Zone, because
I know there's like a show in Spanish. I have to look it up. It's like old school. This is when I was little. I had no business watching this. I was probably 4 or 5. I used to watch this show with my family, and it was the same thing. It was like really like eerie stories, like unsolved mysteries, and it was in Spanish. And it was a woman. I remember it. It's like a core memory too. She would come on and like she was dressed in black. And she had like a black veil over her face, like covering some of her face. And she would she would do the intro and the outro. And then they would tell like the story or the mystery, whatever it was. It was really scary. I remember being little and watching it.
You're like,
hiding behind the blankets, but I would still watch it. So I'm going to look it up.
I found it. Sorry, guys. But okay, so this is like the summary or like explained. The hitchhiker himself was Death, aka the Grim Reaper. So the girl who was driving died in the beginning. The car accident where she got a flat tire. So I guess when she got the flat tire, that's when she died. And it's believed that everyone she encountered from then on were also ghosts, people who didn't know they were dead. Aww. So everyone who, like, the guy she kept seeing was Death, and I think no one else was seeing him either, but yeah, she kept passing the same guy, but he was like insinuating like death and that like death she was coming. Already dead. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's it. But I remember watching that in one of my English classes.
What was the reason?
But I don't know what the context was. I forgot. If you were in that English class with me and you remember, like, let me know. But I don't know why she showed us that. All I know is I was a little scared. I was like, okay. And I know we watched like a couple other episodes too. But yeah, that was the freaking scary stories. You guys let us know what scary stories like you guys remember from your childhood. Ones that have been like passed down to you, stuff like that, because that's interesting and we want nothing too scary.
We may do a second part next week, since it'll be before Halloween. We'll see. But let us know what is an urban legend, a scary story, or something that made you really scared, or something your mom would use to scare you.
I know one more
scare
thing
you straight.
Add. Now that you said like one thing to scare you straight, I don't know what this
straight is. In the sense of following rules, not like in the sense of anything
not like
else.
The show.
Yeah.
Beyond Scared Straight.
Yeah.
Why would I like that show?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, one thing that you would tell me is the chango is gonna get you.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck was the chango?
It's a monkey. What was it? It was from.
Why would I be scared of that?
I think it was like a movie. It was something.
And I didn't even know what this thing looked like. I didn't know, but you would just say like the chango's gonna get you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh damn, like okay.
This is before I started practicing gentle parenting.
Stop.
That That's so awful. Like, not me doing the same thing to you that my mom used to do to me.
Okay, but it was like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously I was little, so I believed it, but it was like, come on. What's
another one that kids were terrified of was Chucky. Chucky's gonna get you.
Not Chucky.
That was like the thing parents would use to threaten their kids.
Not Chucky.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments, what is something that your parents used to threaten you with or scare you with in terms of like scary stories, spooky stories, urban legends, etc. And let's go ahead and take a break before we get out of here. So to wrap up this episode on spooky stories, urban legends, I thought it would be good to talk about the scariest one of them all, which is not an urban legend, it's actually real. Seasonal depression, aka seasonal affective disorder. This is something that I feel a lot of us can relate to. I think I opened up that like seasonal depression is something I feel like I've struggled throughout my life, particularly when daylight savings ends. When it starts getting dark early, I forget it. I hate it. It really affects my mood, my energy level, etc. I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, so I thought it would be good to share a few tips on how to deal with seasonal depression and just with the time change, etc. So here are some tips. I feel like the daylight savings ends, I think, the second week of November. So in a couple weeks. So it's coming. It's probably going to be like dark already by like 4:30. Yeah.
4:30
yeah, 4:35. Yeah, it starts getting dark, which is really crazy, right? So the first tip I would say is to be proactive. What does that mean? Don't wait until daylight savings ends to implement these tips, right? Because it's too late. So be proactive and start planning to implement these tips before. So I think this is a good time to start being proactive. So I would say the first thing would be to establish a bedtime routine. So this means pick a time that you are going to be going to bed. Create a routine around it, whether it means taking a warm shower, warm bath, having your favorite tea, getting in like cozy PJs, getting a good night's sleep.
Skincare routine is very popular, especially nowadays. Like, get that, whatever products you've been wanting to try, whatever products you have at home, whatever products. Just really make sure you're having that good routine down. Consistency is like really key too, to just having like something that you're used to doing. And it's also really good for your skin to be consistent with products. So yeah, just having a good skincare routine down. I feel like that is always a thing that I try to stay consistent with. I know sometimes it's hard, but your skin is going to feel it and you'll be rewarded by glowy, healthy skin. But I know it's hard sometimes, but I feel like once you do it, you'll feel good. I know, like, fuck, you're like, I'm going to need to wash my face, take off my makeup, like, dang. But I promise you, after you do it, you're going to feel so much better.
Yeah.
So do it, please.
Yeah. I think this is something you said. It's so important to double cleanse, right? It's so important to double cleanse. Like, even if you don't do it in the morning, that's okay, as long as you do it at night.
No, you don't have to double cleanse in the morning.
No, at night.
At night, after, even if you don't wear makeup. People think, oh, only if I wear makeup. No. If you're supposed to be wearing sunscreen every day, and if you're not, that's another problem. But sunscreen, skincare you have on throughout the day, sweat, oil, you need to wash all that off. So please double cleanse with an oil cleanser or a cleansing balm, and then your regular cleanser. Thank you.
Okay, so maintaining a good routine, a bedtime routine, is going to be essential. The other tip is getting sunlight exposure as much as you can. Sun sets pretty early. I know that especially if you're at work, if you have a 9 to 5, I know you don't always have the time to maximize sun exposure because you're in an office. But I recommend that on your break, go sit in the sun for 15 to 30 minutes. It's going to make a big, big difference. Trust me.
And if you don't have the sun, get an artificial sun.
Get the light. Get it on Amazon. Yeah. So getting sunlight exposure is essential. Even again, if it's 15 to 30 minutes a day, that will help a lot. The next one, this one is going to be hard, but I think it's going to make a big difference. Limit your caffeine intake. I cannot emphasize how important this one is. I know when the sun, I know I'm so bad at this because I love my coffee, but I have to cut it off. Like, if I have coffee or caffeine after 3, that's already too late because that's going to throw off my sleep schedule. So again, it's going to get dark earlier and you're going to want to reach for that second cup of coffee or third, but don't do it. You're going to regret it.
Don't do it.
So limit caffeine early on in the day so that you don't have to, crash when you get home. The other one is staying active, implementing a workout routine, preferably in the morning. Try to get your exercise in the morning. Again, some people like to go to the gym after they get off work or they put it off, until they're done with their day. But if it's going to be dark and that's going to affect your mood and your energy levels, don't put it off.
Try to go in the morning.
Try to go in the morning.
But I know that's tricky because no one wants to wake up early.
Yeah. But I mean, it really makes a difference. So staying active is going to be really important. The other thing is staying hydrated, drinking a lot of water. Because when you're dehydrated, you are super tired and you feel drained.
You feel slumped.
Yes, you do.
And you need to drink water because, first of all, it's good for your skin. And second of all, you don't want to be dehydrated, do you? And I need to take this advice because I have not been drinking enough water. And if you don't drink enough water, your lips are going to feel dry, your skin is going to suffer, your body's going to suffer, your pee is going to suffer.
It affects your energy levels. You feel lethargic, you feel low energy, you don't want to do anything. So stay hydrated. And last but not least, be mindful of your mood. If you are feeling really sad, really depressed, if you are isolating, and if your mental health is suffering, please reach out for support. If you're not already in therapy, consider starting therapy. Reach out to a licensed professional in your state and get the support that you need. Life is already hard enough. Again, the time's going to change. We have the holidays approaching. Seasonal depression is real. And if you need extra help, reach out.
That's okay.
We'll have resources in the description box if you're looking for a mental health provider. We'll include the national directory that I have. So yeah, those are some tips that you guys can start using. They're really effective. I use them all the time, personally, in my practice as well. Again, these are just tips. This information is not intended to replace any therapeutic support at all. This is just, tips that I know can be helpful. So let us know. What other tips you guys want. What are some other areas that you guys are struggling with in terms of like self-care? Tatiana is a licensed esthetician. So hit her up if you guys have any questions. Just for any products, any recommendations, general things that she uses.
Let me know if you guys want a skincare routine. My skin's not perfect. It's nowhere near perfect, but I know that I have personally struggled with post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which is acne, scars, and dark spots that come due to pimples and stuff and acne, and those are really hard to get rid of. So if you guys have questions about hyperpigmentation, about dark spots, about anything like that, let me know, because I've literally tried everything and I have like a solid routine down of how I fix that. So let me know. Maybe I'll follow us on all of our socials. I do like to post TikToks. I've kind of been slacking on our account with like posting like personal TikToks, not just like our clips. But if you guys want like skincare routine, makeup routine,
get ready with me routines. She does them
now.
Every morning. So
not every morning.
Tries to do them.
Yeah.
Every morning.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, that is basically it for today. It is sundowns already, so we're gonna have to walk to the car. It's a little spooky.
We gotta run to the car, check the back seat.
I'm scared. No, please. I'm actually scared.
Girl.
I am. Okay, so
let's get out of here before it gets
please, let's
later.
Get out of here, please.
Yeah.
Can we do a hand hug? No, other hand?
If you are following us on YouTube, you can see this video. But if you're not following, make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment. And you also follow us on all socials. Please.
My hand is big as fuck.
Okay, girl. All right, guys. Okay, well, we are out of here.
Okay. We're done. We're going to go to Dollar Tree.
All right. Let's get out of here.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Bye, guys.